In the 19th century, a letter was supposedly written that predicted the events of 9/11 with bone-chilling accuracy. It allegedly describes great steel birds striking twin towers of glass in a city of a new world. For years, this document has been passed around the darker corners of the internet as proof of prophecy. But is it a genuine warning from nearly 200 years ago? Or is it one of the most elaborate and cruel hoaxes in modern history? Today, we're getting to the bottom of it. The story goes something like this. Two powerful 19th century figures, Albert Pike, a Confederate general and a high-ranking Freemason, and Giuseppe Mazzini, an Italian revolutionary, are at the center of it all. According to the legend, on the 15th of August, 1871, Pike wrote a letter to Mazzini that wasn't just a friendly note. It was a supposed blueprint for global domination, a plan to orchestrate 3 world wars to bring about a new world order. The letter's alleged contents are startlingly specific. It claims the First World War was necessary to overthrow the czars in Russia and create a fortress of atheistic communism. Then, the Second World War would be stirred up by playing on the tensions between fascists and political Zionists, which would ultimately allow for the creation of a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. But it's the third prophecy that's gotten the most attention lately. The letter supposedly predicts a Third World War, sparked by manipulating the conflict between political Zionism and the leaders of the Islamic world. The text describes a war designed to make the two sides mutually destroy each other, leaving the rest of the world in a state of total exhaustion. For believers, this is where 9/11 comes in. They see the attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon as the trigger for this third and final war, the event that would kick off the global conflict Pike described over a century earlier. The narrative is incredibly powerful. A secret plan from 1871 that seems to predict the defining conflicts of our time. It suggests that history isn't just a series of random events, but a carefully executed script. The big questions are, who wrote it? And is the letter even real? Any investigation into a historical document has to start with one simple question: where is it? Proponents of the Pike prophecy claim the letter was once on display at the British Museum Library, only to be suspiciously removed in 1977. This little detail adds another layer to the conspiracy. The idea that the letter is so dangerous that powerful people have hidden it away. There's just one problem. It's not true. Both the British Museum and the British Library have repeatedly stated they have no record of ever owning or even seeing such a letter. No catalog entry, no archival reference, nothing. The single most important piece of evidence in this whole conspiracy simply doesn't exist where it's said to be. So, where did the story actually come from? The trail doesn't lead to a London archive, but to a 1950s book called Pawns in the Game. The author, William Guy Carr, a Canadian naval officer and conspiracy writer, is the one who popularized the whole 3 world wars story. It's in his writings that we find the detailed descriptions of these prophecies. But here's the catch. Even Carr admitted he had never seen the letter himself. Carr later noted that the keeper of manuscripts at the British Museum had told him the letter wasn't catalogued there. He said he was relying on an earlier source, a Chilean cardinal who supposedly mentioned the letter in a 1925 book. From there, the trail goes cold. What we're left with isn't a primary source, but a tangled chain of second and third-hand accounts, each adding a new layer to the myth. The entire prophecy rests on a foundation of hearsay. The lack of an original document is a huge red flag, but the text of the letter itself contains the most damning evidence. Conspiracy theorists love to point to its use of specific words as proof of its prophetic power, But a closer look reveals the opposite. The letter, allegedly from 1871, talks about a war between fascists and the political Zionists. This sounds impressive until you check the dates. The term fascism as a political ideology didn't exist in 1871. It was coined by Mussolini in 1919. And while the idea of a Jewish homeland is ancient, the political movement of Zionism was first popularized around 1890, almost 2 decades after the letter was supposedly written. For Pike to use these specific terms in 1871 wouldn't be prophecy. It would be time travel. This pattern of creating prophecies after the events have already happened is nothing new. Right after the 9/11 attacks, a supposed Nostradamus quatrain went viral. It mentioned 2 metal birds crashing into 2 tall statues in the new city. It was a sensation, but it was also a complete fabrication. The lines were a modern creation, pieced together to fit the tragedy, with some parts ironically written by a college student to show how easily vague predictions can be faked. The Pike letter follows a similar path. Its story didn't appear in 1871. Its modern version was popularized by William Guy Carr in the 1950s, after 2 world wars had already provided the perfect template. But the themes have even stranger roots in a bizarre 19th century French hoax. In the 1890s, a writer named Leo Taxil pulled an elaborate prank to mock both Freemasonry and the Catholic Church. He invented a fictional satanic Masonic group and cast none other than Albert Pike as a leader of this devil-worshipping cult. Taxil eventually confessed. His entire story was a hoax in 1897. But by then, the link between Pike and a sinister global conspiracy had been planted. It was this soil, tilled by Taxil's prank, from which Carr's later conspiracy theory would grow. So, let's recap. We have a letter that supposedly predicts 3 world wars with impossible accuracy. Yet, there is no original document. The one place it was said to be, the British Library, denies ever having it. The story's main popularizer, William Guy Carr, admitted he never saw it himself and was relying on unverified, second-hand sources. The text uses terms like fascism and Zionism decades before they even existed, and the central figure, Albert Pike, was tied to a global satanic conspiracy by a known and admitted hoaxer years before this 3 world wars theory ever surfaced. When you lay out the facts, the conclusion is unavoidable. The Albert Pike letter predicting 3 world wars, and by extension 9/11, is not a real prophecy. It's a hoax, pieced together over nearly a century of conspiracy theories. It started with anti-Masonic sentiment, was fueled by a prankster's fiction, and was finally shaped by mid-20th century writers who projected the events of their own time back into the past. The story is compelling because it offers order in a chaotic world, the idea that huge tragedies aren't random, but part of a plan. But this is a dangerous kind of comfort. The September 11th attacks weren't the fulfillment of a 19th century Masonic prophecy. They were the result of a very real conspiracy by Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda that took the lives of nearly 3,000 people. The official 9/11 Commission report gives a thorough, painful account of the intelligence and policy failures that led to the attacks. That's the history, grounded in evidence. The Pike letter is the myth, a story that distracts from the complex reality of our world and offers a simple but false narrative of an all-powerful shadow government. The legend of Albert Pike's letter is a classic example of how history can be twisted. It takes a real person, mixes bits of truth with total fabrications, and builds a story that feels more exciting than reality. It turns a complex history of political failures and extremist ideologies into a simple story of a hidden plan finally coming to light. But the truth, as it often is far more mundane and much more complicated. There was no prophetic letter. There was no 150-year-old blueprint. There was only a series of tragedies, and our very human need to find meaning in them, a need so strong that if a prophecy doesn't exist, sometimes we just invent one. What do you think? Is it more comforting to believe in a grand, even evil, plan than to accept the chaos of history? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy unraveling historical mysteries, make sure to subscribe for more investigations like this one.